Trump turns the tables after a list about 42 American aircraft destroyed or damaged in the Middle East shocked Washington. What the anti-Trump media tried to sell as humiliation turned into political ammunition against the old war machine. Because this Thursday, May 21, 2026, the case reveals something bigger than lost planes. It reveals vulnerable bases, poorly explained decisions, billions of dollars at risk, and a military structure that left American soldiers exposed while bureaucrats tried to control the official narrative. Now Trump uses the setback, shines a light on the Pentagon, pressures allies, and is already completely renewing the entire powerful American war industry, including a $1.5 trillion budget, which turns this destruction of aircraft in the Middle East into a tough question for the system. Was this destruction of the aircraft a defeat for Trump, or proof that he inherited a ticking time bomb and now has the perfect card in the American Congress to restructure everything he always wanted in the armed forces? I'll tell you all about that in a moment, but right now you'll want to be subscribed to the channel to stay well informed, with real-time information and the best journalistic quality you've ever seen. Milson Alves, the standard for credibility. The list of aircraft became a political bomb because it mentions fighter jets, drones, planes, tanks, surveillance aircraft, and support equipment hit during Operation Epic Fury. The report cited by Congress points to at least 42 aircraft lost or damaged, including 24 MQ-9 Reaper drones. The estimated cost of operations in Iran reached $29 billion, according to the testimony of the acting Pentagon comptroller, Jules Hurst. And that number still doesn't cover all the damage to American bases attacked in the Middle East, and that's exactly where Trump turns the tables. Who set up such an expensive, widespread, and exposed military structure to drones, missiles, and militias? Trump can take this report and turn the scandal into an audit. It's no longer just about a downed aircraft or a lost drone. It's about a war machine that always asked for more money, more bases, more troops, more contracts, and when the bill comes due, tries to push everything onto the president. The brutal attack revealed a flaw that the right has been denouncing for years. The United States has enormous military power, but part of that power was stationed in predictable bases, within reach of cheap and coordinated attacks. The enemy doesn't need to win an open war to cause damage. All it takes is hitting a runway, hangar, fuel tank, parked plane, drone on a mission, or support aircraft. Trump now has practical proof that modern warfare punishes waste, bureaucracy, and overconfidence. The problem is modern warfare, where expensive systems can be hit by cheaper defenses, mobile militias, and coordinated attacks. Trump can use this shock to advocate for a change in doctrine, less pointless exposure, more defense of American territory, more pressure on regional allies, and less blank check for war bureaucrats. When does the loss show up? The same elite tries to put all the blame on the president who inherited an expensive, bloated military structure dependent on forward bases. Iran tried to turn the list of aircraft into propaganda. Tehran wants to sell the image that it has won, that it resisted the United States, and that it now controls the pace of the crisis in the Persian Gulf. But that celebration has already fallen apart. When the Iranian regime shows damage against American aircraft, it also prevents. The presidency provides the argument to crack down on militias, demand more protection from allies in the Gulf, review base security, and justify a calculated response. The regime thought it was only exposing Trump, but it also exposed the very threat it poses to navigation, to Israel, and to the American presence in the region. For Trump, this reinforces the thesis that the problem is not just a list of aircraft. The problem is the regime that is trying to use the sea, missiles, drones, and militias to spread fear around the world. The White House can turn this episode into direct pressure on the Pentagon. The $1.5 trillion defense budget requested by Trump for defense in 2027 completely changes this outlook, because it shows that the destruction of the 42 aircraft didn't catch the United States off guard, but rather accelerated a renewal that was already underway. The White House wants to turn the shock into a rebuilding of strength, more ships, more fighter jets, more drones, more missile defense, more space technology, more industrial production, and more protection for American troops. The Pentagon itself treated the plan as a generational investment to strengthen the industrial base, expand major weapon systems, reinforce supply chains, and make the Golden Dome and drone superiority priorities. And space dominance at the center of the new phase of the American military. Trump is not just reacting to the brutal attack. He is using the crisis to trade vulnerability for power, attrition for modernization, and loss for new pressure on the system that left the United States exposed. The brutal attack becomes a turning point. The destruction of the aircraft becomes the shock that opens up a bigger dispute. The impact also reaches the allies. Nations, what's happening? Israel and the United States military partners observe that modern warfare has changed. It's not enough to have the most expensive plane, the most sophisticated drone, or the most advanced base. You need to protect the runway, hangar, radar, fuel tank, support ship, and logistics corridor. Trump can use this reality to demand that allies take on more costs, strengthen their own defenses, and stop relying solely on American power to contain regional crises that also threaten their interests. The loss of the aircraft shows that the war cannot continue to be managed by bureaucrats who hide the costs, by generals who avoid tough questions, and by commentators who only remember the soldiers when they want to attack Trump. Now the president has a real crisis on his hands, with a real number, a real cost, and a real consequence. On May 20, U.S. military personnel boarded the Iranian-flagged oil tanker MT Celestial Sea in the Celestial Gulf, de bandeira iraniana no Golfo de Oman, the first violation of the American blockade. The tanker was fired at, was released with instructions to change course, and this changes the tone of the story. While the opponents talk about panic, the operation shows Trump maintaining pressure on Iranian logistics, controlling passage, testing the blockade, and making it clear that Tehran will not turn the loss of aircraft into a political victory without paying a price in maritime trade. The regime knows that the American blockade of Iranian ports squeezes the economy and puts pressure on its ability to move oil, ships, and supplies. He lets the pressure work where it hurts, on the maritime route, on the regime's revenue, and on Tehran's ability to sustain the war. Iran celebrated too soon. By publicizing, exploiting, and using the list of aircraft as propaganda, Tehran also helped Trump show the world that the regime acts as an active threat. The time when everyone expected the United States to handle things alone is over. Every regional crisis is being pushed to the limit. If American aircraft were hit, whoever hosts the American base also needs to respond. Those who depend on American strength also need to pay. Those who want protection against Iran also need to take on their own part of the war. I'm Milson Alves, an international affairs specialist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Like this video, subscribe, and check the comments at the end to stay engaged with the Milson Alves community.